Good evening, everybody. It is Sunday, May the 21st, 2023. My name is Jason Walker. I'm your host. And yet, another episode of the Rocket Minute is about to commence. Folks, this show is actually very, very good. It's a good discipline and routine for me, and I'm hoping you'll hit the like and subscribe button. I'm up to 1,400 views and 2 subscribers already, which is shocking. I never knew the human condition had dipped to that all-new low. I'm just kidding. This right here, you know what I'm going to do. I know exactly what I'm going to do. There you go. How about that? Now let's see how much better, how much more well lit this is. Okay, so we're going to take this back. All right. We're going to be cutting holes, and where are my glasses? Oh, there they are. Keep them in the same place. We're going to be cutting holes in plastic. We'll be making what's called anchor spools. When you buy an Estes rocket, you get these, you get bulkheads. You get bulkhead rings that go around the motor tube, and they center the motor tube the motor tube, which is a smaller diameter, inside the actual body tube, which is larger diameter. And these bulkhead rings, they're just that. They're flat wafers with holes in the middle of them, and so they're like flat rings. Those are very, very difficult to machine. It's almost an art form in itself. If you find yourself at a point where you're fighting with yourself to make one of these, and I'll show you how to make them with or without a drill press. Now, I have to get my hands on a used drill press. I sold the one I had for cash because I was a little low on cash at the time. I can show you how to make them with a drill press. I can show you how to make them with just a regular drill. They are unpleasantly difficult to make, unfortunately, because sometimes, as many hole saws as you can get hole saws either in metric or standard, which is actually also considered USS, SAE, or imperial. But the thing is, you're going to end up investing a lot of money in hole saws. You get a metric and standard set, just black oxide like this, a little bit of heat treatment. A comprehensive hole set with appropriate arbors. You're looking at anywhere between, the cheap stuff's about $20, but if you want all the sizes, you're looking at about $100 per set for USS, and then for metric, so you're looking at $200. What I might end up suggesting is, instead of making things like bulkhead rings, that you maybe consider going on to some websites and advertisers in Sport Rocketry, which is a magazine. You have to look them up online. They're an official publication, National Association of Rocketry, and they have their people that actually manufacture these bulkhead rings. You specify the dimensions, they can make custom-made bulkhead rings for you. It is a little bit difficult if I'm talking to children, underage, anyone under the age of 16 or under the age of 18. I know I'm talking about some fairly technical stuff right now, but if you want to invest in like a basic set of circle saws, I would recommend getting metric if you can get your hands on it. Get metric circle saws instead of SAE. SAE uses a lot of very complicated numbers. SAE, USS, imperial, etc., etc. Let's just say imperial size. Imperial is like 1/2, 3/4, 5/8, 7/16, 7/16, 9/16, and they have metric equivalents. Most of them do. The problem with imperial, the upside of imperial sizes is, if you use imperial sizes in aerospace, you can make things with an infinite diverse amount of tolerance. And I mentioned this a long time ago, but there's like a curve on that graph with regards to the difference between the sizes. Like, difference between the size, you go 3/8 up to 7/11 or 7/16, which is 11 millimeter roughly. But then the 1/2 is a leaf from 7/16, which is 11. 1/2 is 12.5 millimeters. So everything's based on multiples of 2, 4, 6, 8, 2, 4, 6, 8, and 16, 32nd, then 64th, and it doubles and doubles after that. It doesn't follow even an even. It doesn't follow what is it? It gets consistent. Well, it is consistent, but it doesn't still follow a straight line of even numbers. Factorials or fractions. The first number is always odd. Second number is always even, but it comes in multiples of 4. And 2 and then 4, and then it just curves radically from there. You can have sizes like 37/64. The 37 is, I believe, a prime number. As long as the first number is odd and it is, it's a prime number, I think that's how it works. Then you have yourself a factorial. You have a fraction. And if I'm using the word factorial correctly. With millimeters, it just simply goes from 1 to 30. So if you have drill bits that are 1 millimeter in diameter all the way up to 30 millimeter in diameter, guess what? You have 30 drill bits. It's that simple. And if you want to go 1.5 and 2, 2.5 and 3, then if you have drill bits from 1 to 30 millimeters and you go in the halves, then you double that and you have 60 drill bits. And that's it. You want a 16.5 millimeter drill bit. It says 16.5 millimeters, and it translates directly to what the measurement on the blueprint for the part. So that's fairly simple. But the thing is, the problem with metric is that you are limited to millimeter and half a millimeter, a quarter of a millimeter. It goes by the decimal system, so you're stuck with a tenth. So you got to work with a tenth, and that takes some figuring out on its own. I'm not entirely sure what your opinion is on this. Leave a comment in the comments section and tell me what the difference, the ups and downs, the pros and cons of metric versus imperial. But the best thing I can tell you at this point, we're making small rockets. Maximum altitude for these rockets is going to be around probably 1,500 to 2,000 feet at the most. And we're building a 2-engine rocket. That's all I'm going to show you for now. 4 LC, 4 Ps, 4-engine rockets. We're not going to do that for a while. So that's a little on the advanced side. RC, HEI ignition system, that's fairly advanced. We're going to hold off on that as well. However, I'm expecting a very, very large check in several months, and I'm going to be building something that I want to share with everybody, but then again, maybe not. Because if you build a better mousetrap, it's not a good idea if you're the mouse. But I want to discuss RCHEI ignition systems. I want to discuss a rebuildable motor system that I think would work. This stuff is so advanced, however, that large-scale aerospace might want to pick up on it. I make some cash that way, renew my government contract license, still go after the grant for aerospace research, but I'm going to be doing these classes every day of my life for the rest of my life. So rest assured. Now let's talk about the hole saw. Okay, we're at the... oh yeah, that's right. I'm not really that photogenic. I don't like my appearance in video, to be honest. I want more close-up, intimate focus on the function of what we're doing. The cats provide plenty of drama. Of course, I've got Paxton sitting right behind me, and then and then of course Valencia is sleeping in the windowsill. That's all she does is stare out the windowsill. She's a very romantic little lady cat. And then I've got Nora. Nora's making so much noise. I'm afraid some of my neighbors are going to call animal control and have her taken away. And she'll go to a kill shelter, so I don't want anything to happen to her. So I've taken her into my house. She's not happy with the decision, but that is how it goes. But anyway, like I said, I think this is a good setup. I've got a new camera phone stand, so we're doing things this way. When selecting your hole saw, folks, if you don't want to spend a whole lot of money, you're going to probably end up with You can look at the numbers right here. I don't know if you can see that. Okay, so here's what here's how they're making hole saws anymore. So I was wrong. Maybe you cannot get an exclusively metric set of hole saws. This says 1.5 inch equals 38 millimeters. So this is a rough 38 millimeter diameter hole saw. I don't have my plastic dial, my plastic caliper gauge, but I'm gonna get one. They're only like $1 or $2 at Harbor Freight. I don't know why I took the other one back. I need that. But here's the thing. I want to show you something. If you're going to be cutting bulkhead rings, which for the anchor spool, then you're going to be cutting circles in plastic. Let me show you the plastic we're going to be using. I took back that other plastic that I'd gotten from Paragon Plastics. Paragon Plastics, I have to put them on hold for now because they're getting a little bit too expensive, and I have to do these things budget until I can generate some more cash from this website. And like I said, hit the like, hit the subscribe, leave a comment. I'm going to monetize. I'm looking into that tonight, as a matter of fact. So what we're going to do, we're going to budget how many holes we're going to cut. This is a 50-cent plate from what's that place called? Walmart's or Blauflart. You're going to cut a bunch of holes in this. We're going to cut 1, 2, 3, 4 holes. Now, I haven't shown you what an anchor spool looks like, and I'm not really good at drawing pictures, but we're just going to go ahead and build one and show you what it's all about. So let's get the drill. We're going to cut this one loose. Now, I've done this before. Oh, and by the way, folks, if you're using any type of power equipment, either low speed or high speed, if you plug it into a wall to turn it on and it has exposed moving parts, they're absolutely positively in no way, shape, or form are you to forget to wear, if anything else, at least eye protection. So be more careful, folks. I'm going to put some plugs in your ears. The tools are pretty loud. You may want to consider wearing very thin gloves to protect your hands, although the stuff that you need is thin enough to feel what you're doing with. It's because it's thin, it ain't going to protect you that much. But eye protection is a must. If you're working with extremely loud equipment, you should be wearing the speaker type headphones over your ears, or very, very strong, solid little orange plastic plugs. That's to save your ears. But your eyes are paramount. ANSI and OSHA are going to say the same thing, that if you can take chunks out of your earlobe, you can get scars on your face, you can knock a tooth out, you can break your arm, but if you lose one of your eyes, that's extremely serious. Of all the senses, of all the 5 senses that human beings do not want to lose, eyesight is number 1. So, and I have to practice what I preach. These are my safety goggles. They're almost brand new, but from now on, I have to practice what I preach if I want to be an educator that's being taken seriously. So here we go. We're cutting the drill loose. This is how I organize things. I zip tie everything up after I finish using it. This guy, we'll just keep this behind us, and Paxton will keep it company while he's sleeping. God, I tell you, that guy says he has such a busy schedule of napping. Before we plug it in, roll this back. I like these. If you're going to get, if you want to be really official and technical, get yourself a chuck with a chuck key. They're more hassle, but I got to tell you, they help you put more pressure on the tool bit. You know, just knock this over the side. Whee! But one thing about these hand tighteners, okay. Oh, by the way, you can see there's a round part right here. There's these three flat spots here, and there are 3 prongs that slide back and forth in the drill bit itself. Don't get these cinched down on the round part. They don't tell you to do that, but I am, because if you get it on the round part, it's not going to tighten as well. You have 3 flat surfaces clamping down on a round surface, and as such, as a consequence, it is simply going to keep coming loose on you. So stay wary of that. Let me put that away. And how are we doing? Okay, good. So far you can see everything almost a little too up close and personal. Let's pull it back, pull it up, pull it back, and let's see, that looks a little better. Okay, we're gonna plug this guy in. I had a disappointment earlier on today. Actually, 2 disappointments. I have 2 very expensive, well, not expensive, I have a very expensive rectifier, which is basically a battery charger. Rectifiers are the opposite of inverters in the sense, this guy right here, universal rectifier at 20 volts DC, basically will charge any battery on the planet. I had a problem with it. I hooked it up, and I'm not entirely sure I did it right because it ain't doing a darn thing. But so I've got to keep working on this guy. It's really old. It was used by an old corrosion engineer. He passed away, and his estate was being parted out. So I got this from him. I got some corrosion detection modules with swing needles and buttons and gauges and lights and whatnot. I got to figure out what to do with those. I'm sure they're worth some money to somebody. The second disappointment, because this isn't really tool time, I attempted to customize this tool. This is Warrior. This is a little Dremel tool. I can't get the darn thing to turn on. I think there might be something wrong with this power supply. This is an old power supply I got from free stuff off of Craigslist, and I'm trying it, and the darn thing, first I cooked the wires. The second thing I did is I hooked up the wires incorrectly. Third thing I did, I put I put this unit in the microwave just to melt the shrink wrap, which is a bad idea. And so I think I may have damaged something inside the power supply, because if this thing was working before with a smaller power supply, it was working just fine. I'm disappointed because I can't get the thing to turn on, but I'll keep trying. I got to fix that out. So now my Dremel tool, which I need, is down, which we need, is down for the count, and I don't have a battery charger for when we start making self-contained launch controllers. So, and then of course I still have to deal with the center light in the middle of the bedroom. So, it's just, this is engineering for you. You've always got stuff you got to deal with and fix on a rotational basis, and it never ends. That's okay. If you're an engineer, you're already expecting that kind of nonsense. Okay, so here we go. We are going to cut holes in this plate. Unfortunately, we're going to end up putting holes in the top of this table. But what I'm going to end up doing is probably putting a sheet of phenolic, and backed up with Teflon on top of this table and form fitting it to really give it some more structural strength. The other thing is, when you set up drill presses, you set up tables, and you're drilling into them, it might be a good idea to invest in like a 1/2 inch square PVC polyvinyl, the white polyvinyl, or Teflon reinforced PVC. I don't know if such a thing exists, or a sheet of Teflon itself. Now, if you're going to save the pedal on your drill press from getting a bunch of drill holes in it, because the drill press, if the drill bit is hard enough and sharp enough, and you put it in a drill press, all you have to do is pull down, and that stupid drill will drill through anything, including the pedal on the drill press. So put some Teflon down, booger up the Teflon sheet to save the the pedal for the drill press. Otherwise, if you have to replace that drill pedal, it's a lot of work. They're not expensive, but it's labor intensive. You either have to take off the base of the tool or the top or the head of the tool, and either way, that's a lot of work. And if you only want to build rockets, you don't want to rebuild tools like I do, then just save yourself the headache. We'll talk about sources for very, very inexpensive drill presses later. Okay, so here we go. We're going to cut 4 circles, and we're going to take our time too. Okay, since I don't really want to drill a hole into the table and press straight down and drill through plastic, all I'm going to do is it budgets its material, establish a pilot hole very slowly. Do it slowly at first so that you have a little tapered hole for the lead end of the drill to go into. Okay, so there you go. Now keep going. Once you got it, you can see that. Okay, so you got those power holes. Now I'll show you why I'm doing this. Oh, by the way, if we need 4, we're going to cut 5 circles, because if we screw up, we have a spare. I can actually do this a little quicker. Rotate this. And remember, keep a clean work area, relatively speaking. But don't fret too much. You get stuff on the ground, but believe you me, after you finish your work tonight or whenever if you're following these instructions, clean up your work area every time you use it, because you're going to be overwhelmed with mess and stink, and it's going to discourage you from doing any more work if you know I have to spend a couple hours cleaning the work area up before I can start on rockets again. You're not going to want to do that. And even if you do, it's going to be dark. It's going to be ready for dinner. You eat dinner, you're going to be tired, and watch some TV, and you're not going to get around to building the rocket. So clean your work area after each use. Okay, so then everybody wants to spin around a little bit. Now, again, I'll show you why I'm doing this. By the way, another thing, folks, I have fallen into this trap too. If you're building more than one rocket, if you're building 2 rockets, if you have a specific plan of action for your work evening, say you've set aside 2 solid hours at the end of a work day to work on your custom rocket, that's fine. But plan ahead for what you're going to be doing, and only machine and fabricate the parts you're going to need for that particular 2 hours, based on your goals for what you want to get accomplished as far as a work task that'll only take you 2 hours. Don't make more supplies than what you need. Don't make less, because you're going to have to break camp, break your concentration, lose your place, and fabricate more parts. But don't make more parts than you need, because you may or may not be motivated to machine those parts and fine sand them. You're going to have to find a place to store them, and then they're going to sit around forever because you change your mind. You don't want to build rockets that small in diameter. They're going to sit around for 2, 3, 5, 6 months. You're going to see them and go, you know what? I just want to throw this out. Save your material. Budget your material. If you have to, use a computer program and pattern all the circlets or all the boxes, the squares, or the fins you're going to use for the material, and use the most of that material. Whether it's a 50-cent plastic plate, and this plastic is perfectly good. It's machinable, it's sandable, it's mountable. It works reasonably well with cyanoacrylate, which is super glue, but epoxy is always better. And then, of course, any transonic rocket that we're going to make together, which is anything that travels faster than the speed of sound at altitude, that'd be around roughly 752, 754 miles per hour, you are going to be using epoxy, or you're going to be using aero glue. Unfortunately, I don't trust super glue for transonic rockets and transonic flights. You're dealing with an entirely different set of physics, properties, physics. They change. And you break the speed of sound, everything changes and becomes drastically, radically more harsh in the operating environment for the rocket. You have to build up things in such a way that you didn't even think were necessary before. So, but we're not going to discuss transonic flights at all for rockets. The flight stages for transonic launch, for transonic rocket and transonic launch, are pretty much the same as a subsonic. You have powered phase, you have coasting phase, you have apogee phase, which is basically shaped the same way as a nose cone on a rocket. You curve down. Then you have descent phase, and you have recovery phase. So we'll discuss several things about the timing of the delay grain or separation mechanism for pushing the rocket sections apart to deploy the drogues, and parachutes. Why we don't do that too late, but we don't do that too soon either. So uh, length and speed of all 5 phases are going to be discussed. There's a program. I think it's now free, but I'm not sure if you have an Android. I don't know how Apple's work. If you have an Android, you go to Google Play and you look up the term RockSim. They have in-app purchases, but RockSim is amazing. You can't download and steal the program for yourself, but you can use it with online access. And of course, you download the app. It's basically a gateway to the website. And in RockSim, they just want to share their love with the world and how much they love rocketry, and they want to make sure you do your job right. RockSim, if you enter all the parameters for your rocket, is going to tell you in no unclear terms and in numbers exactly how high your rocket's going to fly. What's the drag coefficient, what's the speed, what's the powered phase length, coasting phase length, the actual profile of the apogee. I'm not sure about that. The descent phase, and of course, based on the weight, number of sections of the rocket, complex rocket, a multi-engine rocket, simple rocket, parachutes and drogues, parachutes, no drogues, streamers with no parachutes or drogues, which is actually allowed on some rockets below like 9 or 10 ounces in weight. But I'm telling you, anything from 10 ounces on up to 1,000 pounds, because some rockets that teams of people build are amazingly complex. And I've seen one that was almost as tall as a 4-story building, and I'm thinking that's absolutely crazy. It was almost like a 1/10 scale Saturn V rocket, and it was amazing. And the things sound like real rockets when they launch off. Those involve a lot of calculations. Well, RockSim helps you out with that. RockSim is even worth paying for. In fact, I'm thinking of getting myself a subscription as well. So anyway, so we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves. So let's just talk about this. So now what we're going to do, keep your fingers clear. You know what? I just forgot something. I'm an absent-minded old man. I have not been wearing my safety goggles. Excuse me, I apologize. Now here we go. Now we're going to hold this, and we're going to push the button all the way in, and let this cut as far as it can go, and then reverse to the other side. Okay, that's not cutting very well. Okay. Yeah, I kind of don't like the way that looks, but so be it. Now, before we go any farther, remember this has 2 measurements. It says it's a 1.5, which equates to 38 millimeters. So let me check that out again and verify that. Yeah, it's stamped 1.5 inches equal 38 millimeter. So that's a denotation that in imperial size, your USS or SE or whatever we want to call it, it's 1.5 inches. In metric size, it's close to 38 millimeters. The larger the size gets, the easier it is to convert an imperial size to a metric size. I forgot to mention that, but there again, you can't always entirely rely on just having a metric set of hole saws. This is interesting. It's kind of got a stepped cut. I don't know if you can see that right there. I don't like that, but you know what that means is I have to get the higher step off. So when we cut these, we're going to take them down a certain way. We're going to cut them from both sides and get that stepped ridge off. Obviously, the higher ridge is too thin to use to have any material strength, so we're going to have to take it down to the lower stepped ridge. So this might end up being the spare. We'll fall back on that one as a spare, an emergency spare if we need it. But I really don't like that. Let me grab this though, and let me see how we're doing for fit. Okay, and you know what? I'm thinking to myself, this is a substantially larger piece than even the outer diameter of what it's supposed to fit into. So that tells me something. Size selection is incorrect. I do, in fact, have a hole saw in here that is a little bit larger. but that ain't gonna help us either. So, okay, so here's what we're gonna have to do. I do have a couple of pole saws. I have one that's slightly smaller. Folks, again, this is engineering, but you don't want to do things they're going to make you an unnecessary amount of work. The honest truth is, if you can just exchange out, maybe take 5 minutes to change out a tool that is of, for lack of a better word, the wrong size, then you may be able to save yourself about 20 or 30 minutes collectively down the road, because you've made bulkhead rings that are too large and you spend a lot of time sanding them down. You could get stuff that barely fits one size smaller just by changing the barrel saw or the hole saw and going with something that's slightly smaller. Having a comprehensive set of hole saws is in fact a better idea if you've got the cash. Get something with a lot of different sizes of hole saws. Now the hole saws going in increments of 1/4 of an inch or even 1/8 of an inch would be a lot better, because if you go in 1/8 of an inch increments for the hole saws, you can get a pretty much more spot on size, to where the smaller size is too small, it bangs around the interior diameter of the motor tube, but the larger one leaves a little bit too much material, and we'll show you how to sand that down. We're going to do that tonight, I think, if we're able to make some headway. It's just astonishing, though, how much time this process takes. And again, this is engineering. You are building rockets. That's all we're going to be doing, is designing and building rockets. We're not going to get into anything else, including aircraft, automobiles, electrical equipment, none of that. We're going to be doing nothing but designing, engineering, and building model rockets, high-power experimental rockets, sounding rockets, even micro launch vehicles, if we're feeling brave enough to try to put something in orbit. But we'll see about that. So these two hole saws are too big, way too big. So I'm going to get something that's a little bit smaller, to step down smaller size. Give me a minute. I will be right back. I'm going to fix this problem too by bringing my tools closer. Okay, folks, so here's the issue that we have. I don't want to say a problem, but here's the issue. The issue I have is the next size down looks like it's going to be almost too small. However, we'll give it a good old college try. I mean, this is the guy we used, and I thought that it would chew off enough material that you just have to sand down a little material to fit it in the inner diameter. This is the next size down that I have. This is an old hole saw that I've had probably for about 2 or 3 years, but I'm looking at it right now. If it doesn't remove that much material from the outer diameter of the plate, the plastic plate that we're using, then I won't have to go back to this and just sound those discs down, which I kind of really don't want to do. Anytime you have to machine down a radius, unfortunately, unless we have the time and the money to set up a real special rig that's designed specifically for that purpose, it is going to end up taking up a lot of time, and the effects are going to be, when you have a hole that's been created by a machine, it's going to be perfectly round for the most part, or in theory, or round enough to do the job. When you have a hole made by a machine the radius has to be ground down by hand, then it's going to be uneven in some surfaces. In some applications, that's just not acceptable, because the rocket may end up being off angle in certain areas where the measurements and specification are critical, because flight control and control the rocket itself in flight for affecting stable flight would be an issue. So just be wary. You got to know when to fish or cut bait. So as the saying goes, okay, so we fit this. I have a good feeling that even if this is a little on the too small side, we can shim it up, and that would actually be fun. But all things being equal, let's see what happens. Yeah, boy, not even talking. You know what? I just broke my own rule. Remember what I said about not tightening the thing down on the round section of the arbor, and I did that. You know, guys, I have a hard time listening to myself. I'm a boring individual. I come to the other side. Okay. All right, so here we go. So let's see. We have that step. Well, it kind of looks like we do. And you know what else? Doggone it, I forgot to put my safety glasses on. Okay, so now here's this. Now let's see. Let's check the fit. And I got to be honest with you. Look at that. Zippity doo dah. The smaller. Okay, so here we go. I want you guys to see this. This smaller radius right there. See that edge? That's the diameter you want. That's actually a very easy slip fit inside this. So miracle of miracles. We're just going to go ahead and toss this because I can't use it for anything else. I'm not going to keep it around as a spare. These are 50-cent plates. We're going to throw that out. But what I'm going to do, I have to drill another hole. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut 4 more of these. If you can see that, yeah, I'm sure you can. I'm holding it right in front of the camera. And we're going to go from there, and we're going to see what we can do about getting rid of this step lip right here. That's the one thing I don't like. Seems to me we might have been able to eliminate that with a drill press, but like I said, I'm limited on funds. I don't really have a drill press right now, and I think I made a mistake. This hole is, well, shoot. Nope, that's hole. Now, hold on. Okay, that'll be okay, but this other hole right here is too close to this circle, so you know what I'm thinking. Why don't we just do this? This is a pre-existing hole in this darn table anyway. And you know what, guys? Maybe I should put a little bell around my neck. Tell me to put on this. There we go. Safety glasses. Hi, guys. All right, here we go. I'm doing this because there's already a hole from before in this table where I'm doing it. Okay, this is a little better. Okay, so now this is good in the sense that because I've done this, now I have to go get another tool that's called a pick. And the reason I have to get one, let me put my glasses here, is that I will show you. Just a moment, I'll be right back. My goodness, I now have 3 cats. I cannot believe this. Anyway, such is life. Okay, so we just, this material is not really very stubborn. There are holes inside of these barrel saws for you to push the material out. Okay, so now, this is more what I want. I'm thinking, let me clean up these edges. This is a pick. You can get a set of 4 of these from Harbor Freight for $3 in a package. I would recommend getting those. And I need one more stinking tool. Excuse me, I will be right back. Okay, I'm actually really happy with this, but it looks awfully small. So I'm going to take the deburring tool and just kind of see what I can do about maybe just kind of cutting off these edges here. Come on, sweetheart. Nora's settling in. I think she understands my concern for her. She's not yowling or squawking. She's a nice cat, but boy, I mean, she doesn't get her way. She could just yell for hours and hours and hours. I've never heard a cat just carry on like that for hours. And between Nora and Valencia, they just have the loudest voices. Valencia couldn't weigh more than 10 or 12 ounces. She's a really petite little girl, and she's got the loudest yowl. Okay, so anyway, kind of isn't doing the trick. No. Let me just check the diameter. Now, this is what we're looking for. Well, it's a little bit on the loose side, but that's okay. I can work with that. My goodness. Okay, so we just dropped it. I have a really smooth, slick hand. Okay, so, and I got to be honest with you, this material right here, that's going to be a little bit too much to fight. This is more like what I want right here. It's almost complete. So I'm going to go ahead and toss this too. So, guys, when you're getting set up for a run, when I say a run, basically you're setting up to machine some parts. You need, like in this case, 4 parts plus a spare. We have 2 spares. We threw both of them out. That's why you're going to learn how to machine things with or without certain types of equipment or with a lack of equipment. I have this nice table. I have this nice cabinet. I have the phone stand. I have safety glasses. I have handheld power equipment. I have this new rectifier. So I'm blessed, but I don't really have an official shop. Drill presses are kind of large and bulky, but this is best done on a drill press. You get a clean square cut on plastic that's this thin using the same thing, this setup, instead of in a hand drill on a drill press itself. So I think that's going to be one of my goals. So to be more credible, then we're going to do that maybe sometime next month when I get a little cash. I'm going to find something used. I don't want to get anything new, heaven forbid. Everything has just gotten too expensive. Okay, so look for that pre-made hole. Okay, that's looking much cleaner. Okay, I'm gonna put that back there with the rest of the tubes and whatnot. Okay, so I want to cut at least 3 more. So we're gonna go ahead, and again, these hole saws, they have, depending on their diameter and depending on the design of the arbor, these hole saws, they have holes inside of them to access the circles internally. Now, to where you can push the material out. This is usually the throwaway material because this is designed to drill holes. Nobody cares about what the circles are, but since we're using this to make bulkhead rings for a rocket, this is the stuff that we want. So okay, so now we have 2 of these, and I'm looking at this, and I got to be honest with you, I'm thinking that the best way to drill these is the way that we found. We just do things really slow. You can control 1 speed. This is basically this is a 1 speed drill. It's not a variable speed drill. However, what nobody tells you is the fact that you get older and you keep needing to remind yourself, put your safety glasses on. Guys, I'll get into this habit eventually. I will overcome dementia, I swear. Joe Biden says so. But okay, so that's just too close. Okay, so I'm gonna have to drill. I have 2. I want 3 more. 1 for a dummy, and 2 for the other anchor spools. So we're gonna drill a couple pilot holes right here. Watch your fingers. 1. Place them apart. Okay, I am making a mess, but I'm not going to bother cleaning up everything right now. I'm just going to do one big clean sweep after I'm done. Now, if you have these pilot holes, so line it up with the hole that already exists in the table. Just there's no going back. I'm stuck with this table now. When you want a variable speed drill, you want to control the speed of your drill, that's RPM. You pulse it by pulling the fingers back and forth. You lay it down like that. Keep the pick handy. Just I'm just going to keep my safety glasses on. It's a good habit to get into. Again, what happened here? You know what happened here? Because I don't. Why is one end thicker than the other? Goofed up on this. I don't know what the hell is going on with this. No, I gotta throw that out. Okay, let's try this again. This time. Okay, so this is not turning out too well. So I'm kind of making a mistake somewhere and I don't know what I'm doing. See. Actually, so if you want to run a 4 parts, you might end up wanting to just double up and plan on making 8. Until you get familiar with how to use a particular system for machining parts, you might want to, just for small runs, anything under 30 to 50 parts. Okay, so now we've got this again. Got issues of thinness. Thick and thin. I don't know what the hell is going on. Okay. What is going on? Okay. This is strange. Folks, again, I might end up denouncing these plates as an inexpensive option for plastic. But then again, my eyes could be playing tricks on me right now. Yeah, okay. Okay, we can barely use this, but I'm not going to spend that much time on it. Let's just get one more good one, and I'm done with this, because I'm just kind of getting a little frustrated here. Oh, I know. I'm starting at the wrong side. Never mind. You know what? Okay. Let's try this again. Let's do what we did before. That just kind of came out. No, I don't like that. Okay. So this happens. Sometimes you experience an inconsistent quality on plastic, and this sort of thing just happens. So where is that hole? Okay, we're going to turn it to the other side now. Maybe that's the ticket again. You've got to experiment. Okay, so now, well, like I said, sometimes you have to experiment, because I've not, this is the first time I've made bulkhead rings with this particular material and this method. For the longest time, I've always had drill presses, and I've cut circlets and rings before. I turned in that piece of gray PVC to Paragon Plastics, and I think I am now starting to regret that decision. I have to throw this one out too. The only other thing that I can think of in regards to this plastic is it may just be too thin. So Well, it's too thin and too cheap. Okay, okay. So we're gonna have to vector make a. Okay, so what we're gonna do, I have to just get one more decent, good bulkhead. There's no way out of it. So let me try it one more time. Okay. Nope. Okay. Now I gotta throw that out too. It's ridging is what it's doing. I don't like that. Okay, we're gonna turn it over. Alright, no, okay. Yeah, just find this old hole. Alright, here we go. Whoops. Now I'm really screwing up. I just bored a hole in the table. Well, that's okay. Okay, so right now I feel humbled. You know, it seems like I make mistakes in every video, so I'm gonna learn from them. Okay, so here we go. Now, okay, now look at this. This is interesting. This one turned out very well. Okay, so let there be a lesson in this. Okay, so now I've discovered something, folks. Now look at this. This is the best bulk ring we've cut, but I had to almost destroy the table to get it. Now look at that. Hardly anything to machine off or work off. Now let me check the fit in the actual tube. Unfortunately, this is a little undersized, but what I'm thinking, even if it is a little undersized, I'm going to keep using it. We're going to go ahead and just trim it up, but we'll figure out how to do that as well. My goodness. It's like you guys are watching me develop this and engineer this as we go along. I am a little professionally embarrassed right now, but again, with engineering, this sort of thing happens. I'm just thinking I need something to back this up, and I have a good idea. I just don't know where I'm going to find it, but I think I know where I can get something to be a backing for this plate. So why don't you guys hold on for just a second, and I'll be right back. Hey, watch out. All right, folks, I'm back. I'm sorry for doing that to you. I just found something that's not only going to save the parts, it's going to save the table. Look at that. Can you see that? That is a slab. So now, a fair amount of confidence. Let's see how this works and see what we can do with that. Maybe not. Okay, so maybe not. This is too hard. I have one other option. It's outside, so I'll take this out. Hold on, I'll be right back. Okay, guys. You know, the funny thing is I shouldn't have to be relearning stuff that I already know. Okay, so here we go. Hi, baby. You ain't getting out, Nora. You don't need that. Here we go. Got a piece of wood. Okay. Let's see how this works. And we're gonna just load them up. Okay, so let's see how this works. Get the pick. Boy, am I making a chocolate mess. Okay, I look forward to cleaning this up. Okay, so here we go. We're going to poke all three of these out and just cut them at the same time. Use the stick as a tool. And kind of press that out like that. But unfortunately, this stuff is cheap. Okay, so here we go. Get these glasses right next to safety glasses. And I keep forgetting to wear my safety glasses. Okay, so here we go. All right, so what I've got is exactly what I thought I'd get. These are almost, this one's kind of chunky. We're gonna, okay, that one's got the old UPC symbol on it. Okay, these guys are good. And this guy is good. And this guy is good. So we got 4. We got, look at that. We have 4 rejects. And we got a plate that's pretty much not good for anything. So we're just going to go ahead and toss that plate. It's 50 cents. It's cheap plastic. I got to be honest with you, I'm not really happy with the plastic on that, but I'm not going to squawk that much. Okay, so what we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, anchor spools, I'm going to try and educate you very, very quickly on. As soon as I can put this away right there like that, and wipe this off, and I'm going to do something that's absolutely horrendously horrible. It's even going to bother me. I'm keeping the stick, by the way. We're going to put this in the green drawer next to the spare parts. Okay, come on, baby. And I'm going to go ahead and brush all of this off into our trusty little trash can. And I want to show you before we close up tonight. I don't know. Maybe I should shoot long videos and learn how to edit. Okay, we're gonna hold this in here. So, oh boy, this is a messy operation, I'm telling you. Right there. I don't have any cleaner. Well, shucks. Yeah, that's not good. Anyway, okay, so that's that. Okay, so anyway, again, I'm gonna vacuum the carpet and clean it. Begs the question. I don't have the cleaner with me right now. Okay, and then the table's a little more damaged up. I'm gonna resurface this table fairly shortly. Okay, so now we get one more tool, and then we're gonna make a spool very, very quickly because times are running out. We're going an hour and a half videos, and okay, so here we go, folks. Where are we at? Okay, we're at an hour and 1 minute right now. Sorry, we're gonna have to just go another half an hour. This is really making long videos, guys. You can see how involved this is. I'm just gonna have to admit editing these silly things down. Cut this off. Cut that off. Be careful not to cut the cord. These are really bad snippers. Okay. Okay, so throw that over there like that. And we're gonna use the sander. And we're gonna do. By the way, I'm trying to do this all later on in the day, early evening, but during daylight hours, when the neighbors won't be disturbed. Okay, so here we go. All right. I'm gonna turn this guy on. And there we go. All right. Oh, Lord have mercy. All right. That hurts the hand. How well can you guys see? All right. So these are circles. What exactly is a spool? Well, I'll show you. Notice. Okay. Okay. Rag. Spool pieces. Put the tool down. I keep forgetting to wear my safety glasses. Let's see the damn thing's on. Oh, there we go. There we go. Oh, the stupid hooks. Okay, good enough. The spool is this. I went and invested in a bunch of nuts, bolts, and washers. Okay, I'll show you. This is the forward anchor spool. In other words, it's going to go closest to the nose cone. Want it on as tight as far as you can. If I feel like it. You know what, that washer is bent. I'm going to throw that out. Okay, so here we go. Yeah. And, okay. And we're going to always use washers. And again, I call these guys anchor spools. We're going to have to shim this one up. Let me use a screwdriver. Tighten this up. I want to make sure you guys see this. It is getting dark. I've got to fix the room light, but the problem is that I have time budget to do that. There we go. Okay. Just cockeyed like that. I don't know why it does that. Okay. Now, you build a spool. It's kind of hard to explain. This is tricky, Ricky. No. Okay, see how I'm assembling it. Now, so to answer your question, I don't want to get up and keep going after more tools. I can't learn when I'm teaching, I tell you what, man. These guys work good for tightening little nuts. They're not supposed to be doing that, however. All right, so here we go. This is an anchor spool. Let me demonstrate what anchor spools do, and please disregard the color of the nose cone piece. The anchor spools fit in the inner diameter like here, like so. With an anchor spool, have you ever seen a spool of yarn or a spool of thread on a sewing machine at your mother's, or your sisters go or do sewing, or seamstresses for a living? This is a spool. It's an axle, or it's like a centerpiece with two circles on either side fastened together. That's considered a spool. The reason this is considered an anchor spool is because this eye bolt right here, we're going to put a quick disconnect, and we're going to connect the upper half, the short upper half of the recovery shock cord attached to it, and then we're going to put this in here like so, and then I've got to machine this down, and then we're going to put the coupling on top of that. So everything's got to go together just like that. So, but because I've closed the top off, because it has the part of the nose cone in place, obviously I can't fit this in here this way, so it has to go in that way before this can go on. And of course, this is the bottom of the rocket. This is the bottom part of the rocket itself. We have to lower another anchor spool down here with the longer shock cord, and we have to drop it down as far as we think it can go. In fact, probably all the way to the fins around here, where the fins stick out and will stop. But with the lower anchor spool, it's going to have little holes drilled in it, and it's going to have a copper mesh baffle on it. The holes are to allow the air pressure from the separation charge from the motor to come through, and the copper baffle is going to be cooling that ejection charge so that it doesn't melt or burn the plastic, the inner diameter of the PVC plastic body tube. Also, the bulkhead rings themselves. Two better superior materials would be phenolic. I don't have ready access to 1/16 sheet phenolic, and otherwise I would use that. G10, of course, is the ultimate. Apple Green American G10. I've talked with Paragon Plastics about it. I'm supposed to call them Monday and see what they have for me in regards to specifications and pricing for G10 and also for phenolic as well. I'm hoping they can give me good prices, but we'll just have to see how that goes. Let's go ahead and make the other anchor spool just for the sake of getting something accomplished. We're a very, very low accomplishment type of channel. Let's get these guys out of the way, and let's get the motor, the actual rocket motor. Oh, by the way, this is the detail on the rocket's fins. They're undersized, but they will do. As long as we have our center of pressure, center of gravity calculations correct, then we should be fine. Now, we're going to build this. This is the upper one. The lower one. Excuse me. I have stuff that keeps wanting to attract itself to my eyes. Oh my goodness! Come on, baby. It's not cooperating. This may not be the right thread pitch. Yeah, it is. Okay, so I'm gonna walk this on like this. I've got really, really slippery skin on my hands. My hands, skin is really, really super slick. It's not dry. It's just as slippery as all get up. Nora, is that you? I think that is. I'll run that down. I'm going to have to find more of these washers and more of these bolts. Actually, nuts, excuse me, nuts. Oh, but I can't do that until. So, nut, washer, plate. That's a weird sound. That makes weird sounds. Okay, so here we go. And I'm gonna put this back on the same way I did. Of course, when you go into a loop, curved metal, the threads end there. So I'll just be able to. I'll just have to use. Just to tighten this on. You just hold them in place. It's not what these pliers are meant to do. That's okay. You don't want to over tighten them, like I did. I'm a hypocrite and a liar. Because you get the plate will actually squirt and go off angle. Although, if that tightens up the fitting, then I would say maybe that's not such a bad idea, given that these are slightly undersized for the inner diameter. Okay, so we're gonna run another bolt down, and I'm really excited now because this rocket is really starting to take shape. In a couple days, possibly by Wednesday of next week, we are going, if not sooner, we are going to be ready to paint this rocket. We're going to paint it green. I may trade the paint in and get a more agreeable color like red. Okay, so where is that last circle? It's right here. I'm really happy about how these circles turned out. It's just a matter of remembering what I've learned in the past, but I shouldn't have to learn lessons twice, but I don't know. Some of this stuff is perishable knowledge. This is a bent washer. Don't reuse bent washers. They won't tighten properly. That's all in the wrong way. Ground side up, ground side out. Okay. And no, that's not right. That's too small. Okay, here we go. Oh, here we go. My upstairs neighbors are really nice people, by the way, and they put up with my nonsense, so I think that's a good sign. Okay, we're gonna tighten this down. You know, people can be rude and crass, but you just gotta have a little faith sometimes. Faith in humanity. You gotta learn how to work. You gotta learn how to forgive people. I'm no good at that. Okay, so there. You know what? I'm gonna make this the this. I'm gonna go ahead and make this the upper anchor spool. And what I'm gonna do for safekeeping, I'm just gonna go ahead and drop it in there like that. And kind of leave that on the side like that. I'm gonna sand down this coupling so it's a little bit easier slip fit. This guy, because it's got this paper on here and I don't like the way that looks. Oh, you know what? It looks like it's just coming right off. I take the dumb thing off and scrape all this nonsense off. Goodness, I like things to look aesthetically a little bit more acceptable and professional. Hey, again, folks, just an emphasis on workmanship. I'm trying to do things as simply as I possibly can, but there is something to be said about craftsmanship. Um, it just, you don't want to do things so quickly that you do a slop job. I mean, some stuff doesn't matter. I mean, if you leave a couple scratch marks here, or you don't paint the rocket correctly, maybe you have a crooked fin, or maybe you use a rusted bolt or something. That's okay, but we'll get the rest of this off with a pick. But you know what? If you're going to put this much time into building a rocket that flies, you might as well make something that looks good. That's a personal opinion of mine. You don't have to take that advice if you don't want to, but and as they say, to each his own. But I like to put a little detail and craftsmanship into everything I do to make sure that it's done right. Those are my neighbors right there.
Oh my gosh.
She's talking to her kid. That kid's a mama's boy. He loves his mom a little bit too much. I never could understand that. I wasn't a mama's boy, even when I was a mama's boy. Okay, well, that sticker is just gonna stay where it's at, and I'm not really too concerned about that. I should have taken my chance to taken the opportunity to take it off, and I did. Okay, so there's a lower anchor spool. I'm not going to get into the detail of it, but I'm going to have to find a scrub pad to wrap around this and drill some holes in it and install it. But again, with both of these spools, they're going to be behind other parts. Unfortunately, the way I'm making the rocket, it's a small rocket, you can't really make it a rebuildable, serviceable rocket. If it breaks, you just have to scrap it or cannibalize it and build another one. The problem with rockets this small is if you want to make some of this rebuildable, the design is going to become extremely elaborate and labor intensive and time consuming. And you're going to have more than one person build it. I got to be honest with you, people's attention span, their focus on something this small, it's not really necessarily going to be there. It's these bigger rockets, these bigger efforts. We're talking about a rocket that's between 1 and 2 stories tall, maybe 6 inches in diameter. Um, about the size of a parking pole, about the width of a parking pole. Then something that weighs like 500 or 600 pounds. Yeah, you're going to involve a whole team, a whole effort of people. We're not building those rockets yet, but like I'm saying, the smaller stuff, unfortunately, you got to sacrifice serviceability for ease of handling and ease of building and flight, and making it launch ready and such and so forth. So you get one without the other. Larger rockets where you can stick your whole arm all the way up and reach around the interior diameter of 6 inch. The interior of the rocket, 6 inch in diameter. Arnold Schwarzenegger can stick his arm up there. You can stick your leg up there. 6 inches is a lot of space. You can reach around, and of course, you put payloads in there, all sorts of decorative electronics and sensors, because you got more room to work with. And those rockets you do want to make rebuildable, because I got to tell you, if you make them non-rebuildable, it's going to be a long time before you have another $50,000 to $100,000 to invest in a 1 or 2 story tall rocket, 6 inches in diameter from start to finish, with all the machining and planning and drawing, cutting, fabricating, sawing, gluing, and trial and error and such. A 2-story rocket will set you back about $100,000 in materials and tools, and tooling alone, not to mention your labor. People who have that kind of money to spare, who view this as a hobby in their retirement, that's fine. But I'm trying to teach you how to build things by using as little funds as possible. So these are, like I said, these are anchor spools. This is going to be the lower anchor spool. We're going to drill holes in it, and we're going to put a scrub pad baffle on it. It's copper. Now we still might still want to use pack wadding between the parachute and the shock cord in the lower half of the rocket, because even with the cooling baffle in it, it may not be enough, because that ejection charge is very, very hot. You stand in front of a black powder blast, it will give you a 3rd-degree burn. It burns very hot. So But then again, the cooling baffle might be a secondary cooling measure, and then that fireproof flame wadding for the separation charge. You may still want to use that. I'm kind of saying that air on the safe side, and I recommend doing both. So this is a forward end spool. This is a forward end anchor spool, anchor for the shock cord. I put that in there. Put that aside. I'm going to continue on with my work after this because I want to machine this coupling down and make sure it fits properly. This has been another episode of the Rocket Minute with your host, Jason Michael. That is me. And like I said, I'm going to put this stuff away, do a few more tasks, and I myself will be done for the night, at least with this, because still got a boatload of equipment to go through, and then tomorrow I get to prep for doing some online sales that have to generate some income. But on that note, I'm also figuring out how to try to monetize. I'm up to 1,400 viewers, 2 subscriptions, 6.2 hours of total view time. But I want to figure out how to make this show more lively, which might involve me shooting a much, much, much longer period of filming time, and then just going through and editing it down to a half an hour, because I think that's the maximum length of attention span for anybody, even if they want to watch something as technical and exciting as building a rocket. I think a half an hour is the max. Anything past that is actually in bad taste. You're kind of stretching the limits. So now I have to develop the patience for editing, which I don't really care to do. I'm not someone who's into that sort of thing. I'm not really a cinematographer, editor, or director. I'm a designer, engineer, entrepreneur, et cetera, and also an educator. But I may need to develop a love for those skills as well. Anyway, good night. Thanks for watching. Hit the like and subscribe. Please leave a comment if I've done something wrong to offend anybody, like the Yak Wranglers of Kent, or the Quarantine Philistine Savior Society, the Peanut Butter Brigade out of Hartford, Connecticut. There are all groups out there that take offense to all sorts of things, and I don't want to be politically incorrect. All right, good night. We'll see you tomorrow.